All right, let's check in on the markets. Another day of rallying. The JSE All-Share up 1,500 points or thereabout. World markets are buzzing again because of more progress being made on this $2 trillion stimulus bill in the U.S. I want to bring in Nesan Nair from SASFI. Nesan, good afternoon. Thanks indeed for talking to us. So the huge sell-off we saw on Friday, that's behind us. It looks like we've gained back pretty much everything. What's more is that the rand is now back under 15 rand to the US dollar. What's behind this?
Yes, good afternoon, Devan. You know, Mondays are definitely becoming something to look forward to these days. You know, it seems almost like clockwork that, you know, the Monday rally is something that you can almost bank on for the time being anyway. We've had a lot of positive sentiment coming through. Last week was a very difficult week. I think a week, perhaps a little bit of consolidation taking place, a little bit of profit taking place. And, you know, ultimately investors have weighed in on the potential impact of the stimulus package. And I think the resources are continuing to lead the way. The concern is obviously still that financial assets are subject to erosion because of inflation. And by financial assets, I mean cash and bonds. And almost by default, investors are pretty happy to hold, you know, exposure to real assets like your resources and like your equity. So I think ultimately we're going to see this sort of ebb and flow take place in the market, you know, until we get some certainty coming from that stimulus.
Well, a couple of results being mentioned today. Now, we can't go through all of them, but RCL is quite significant here. And a couple of things being revealed in the RCL results. Among them is that while restaurants curbed their orders for poultry during the lockdown, these results are showing us that people were baking. Sugar sales went up.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes you really appreciate having a nicely diversified business, but nobody, I suppose, certainly not the people at RCL, thought about diversifying themselves against a pandemic. But it was a great tactic. I mean, exactly as you said, you know, with the lockdown having closed down, a lot of the quick service restaurants, you know, the likes of KFC and Nando's and things, as a result, a lot of people staying at home and perhaps, you know, doing a lot of baking.
Yeah, so good news for them. You speak about diversified results. I mean, look no further than Bidvest. Thanks to its diversified business, it didn't lose too much. In fact, it gained. What a good set of results coming out from Bidvest.
Absolutely, and it was the first year for Mpumi Medisa, you know, the incumbent CEO. She took over from Lindsay Ralphs. Obviously very well groomed for the job, but nobody can be groomed for a pandemic. And I think she did a fantastic job, you know, guiding the company through what was clearly a difficult time. The standout number for me, they had increased cash flow by 86%. And, you know, I think if you can increase cash flow by that amount in a pandemic when the country was locked down, I think it was a fantastic result by her. And of course, the news that they'll be building that big LPG terminal now in Richards Bay. Some more infrastructure spending taking place.
Yeah, and just finally, before I let you go, Nesan, we've seen that the PMI was up. I think it was up in January and then February as well, simply telling us that the manufacturing sector is gaining traction on the sentiment side. But I think what's interesting was new vehicle sales are out. They were down in January. They were down in February as well. It's a very significant indicator of the economy. So we look at it, but I see exports, although declining, is recovering. Can this provide some sort of boost for our unemployment here, especially on the car manufacturing side?
Yeah, you know, point well made there, Devan. You know, manufacturing seems to be on its way up, but of course, vehicle manufacturing, which is the biggest sector in manufacturing, you know, doesn't seem to be doing so well. If you look at the output, I mean, we sold, 24,000 cars in February compared to almost 30,000 the previous February. But I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the fact that we are still, you know, very much in a state of lockdown. A lot of people obviously not finding useful vehicles right now, you know, reassessing the need for a vehicle. But I anticipate, I mean, this vehicle sales number is probably what we call a late cycle indicator. You know, when the economy is well on its way to recovery, then you'll see the vehicle sales numbers starting to pick up. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it just yet, but I think an important point to know that it is at least some of the data that's going against the overall grain.
Yes.